Tropical storm Debby continues to strengthen in the Gulf of Mexico. I'm meteorologist Robert Spetta. This is your 11 o'clock update here on Sunday morning. So let's break down this storm system, giving you the facts. We're not trying to hype this up or anything. We want to let you know what to expect so you can prepare for this storm system. From the last update, the pressure has dropped. Hurricane Hunter's been out there flying all morning through that center of circulation, allowing this to intensify a bit, up to 65-mile-per-hour winds at this time. Still very lopsided. Center of circulation is right in here. Now, simply put, that means that we're going to continue to see impacts along the west coast of Florida here through our Sunday afternoon, heading into the evening as this heads off towards the north. Where is it headed? Well, looks like we're still going to be seeing that landfall here Monday morning. This is showing about 8 a.m. in the Big Bend area, just towards the west of Perry. They'll likely be seeing that right front quadrant where there could be a pretty decent storm surge there as this comes on shore right along the immediate coast. Then it heads off towards the north, well towards the northwest of Jacksonville. Good news for the metro area here, but still places like Lake City all the way back towards Savannah are going to be looking at some fairly gusty conditions. That's where we do have tropical storm watches in place at this time. I'll get to that in a second, but here's the other thing. What you can see here on the forecast, these lines right in here indicating every 6 hours, this storm system is going to slow down right to a crawl across southeastern areas of Georgia. And the longer it sits here, the more we're going to see those rain totals rack up as we go ahead through Monday into Tuesday and maybe even over towards Wednesday. So the rain threat really being one of the big issues. And I know you're thinking, okay, of course it's going to rain with a tropical system, but when you get it over several days on top of your saturated grounds, that's when you're going to be talking about that threat of some flooding out here. So let's take a look at our current warnings here as of our Monday morning. Hurricane warnings are in place along the Big Bend area of Florida here. Stretching further inland all the way out towards Lake City, we have a tropical storm warning, tropical storm watches at this time for parts of Baker County, even extending out across much of southeastern areas of Georgia. Nassau, Duval, Clay, Putnam, St. Johns, Flagler County are not as of now under a watch or a warning for tropical weather. We do have flood warnings in place, but just note, even if the storm shifts a little bit towards the east, that could change. So I want to continue to check back in for new updates. But this is strictly speaking as far as those winds are concerned, those tropical storm strength winds. Also, there is a storm surge watch in place for our coastal counties here in southeastern areas of Georgia. That's after this pushes off towards the east. You start to see those winds wrap around from the east, and you could be looking at some high tide flooding here along our coastal areas. So something you want to watch out for, especially for places like St. Simon's Island, Brunswick, even parts of Fernandina as well. All right, let's break down this storm, where it is at this moment, and kind of verify what we've been expecting here with it. And that is the fact that it is a little lopsided. Center of circulation is almost due west of Tampa. Look at these bands that are coming in from the south just around Fort Myers here as well. There's already been several tornado warnings. This is what we expected to come up with this. Actually, as of recording this at 11:03 a.m., just towards the east of Sarasota, there's a tornado warning in place. And this is kind of one of the main issues outside of the rain is that threat of tornadoes. So that's going to be one of the themes you're going to see here in this update. And as we go ahead over the course of the next 72 hours, classic setup here, right side, the dirty side of the storm, where you get that threat of tornadoes. And all this area in yellow actually indicating a tornado watch at this time. This was just put up by the National Weather Service. So just kind of getting ahead of it. I mentioned earlier the hurricane hunters have been out there flying around. You can kind of see them doing the little circles in there. They're trying to find that center of circulation, and it's really what confirmed up that pressure falling down to 992 millibars at this time. Let's go hour by hour here with our future cast as it moves off towards the north, intensifying right up to landfall there just around the Big Bend area of Florida. This is at 3 a.m. Let's watch this through about 9 a.m. So on Good Morning Jacksonville, if you're here on the First Coast, we'll be here tracking that storm for you. And by that time, already seeing those rain bands come through. Within that, of course, the heavy rain, but we're going to be watching for that tornado threat too. Also right in here, that's where we're going to be seeing those tropical storm strength winds moving into places like Columbia County. Hurricane strength possibly out near the coast. Once it goes further inland, of course, it's going to weaken just a bit, but you're still going to be looking at enough to maybe cause some power outages for these areas along the I-75 corridor in western areas of I-10, and then shifting out towards southeastern areas of Georgia as well. well. Look at Folkston, increase in the rain there for you. And this is going to move towards the northeast and then start to just linger and almost sit in place here across southeastern Georgia over towards the Carolinas. And that's one of the other big issues with this. The fact that it's just going to almost stall out and really just pump in moisture for Monday, even heading into Tuesday. And the reason why I do think those rain totals for some of our counties here are going to be 10, 15 inches, not Jacksonville. Jacksonville looking closer to 6 to 8, but where this is just almost going to stall out, we're going to see persistent precipitation, which is going to be resulting in that threat of some decent flooding here. All right, so as this pulls towards the northeast, how about Lake City? Your winds. This is different types of models here, but all of them kind of showing that those winds are likely going to carry inland and get up to about tropical storm strength there. I do not anticipate winds quite that high into Jacksonville, but they could be flirting with the gust upwards about 50 miles per hour. I'm actually taking a look at a broader picture. Here's our center coming on shore around the Big Bend area. Watch as it passes just near Lake City. We start to see those gusts up and over 50 miles per hour there. Even got those winds wrapping around. We could see some decent gusts along the coast of Georgia here as well. And even in the Jacksonville, 30, 40, maybe gusts to 50 miles per hour, but not quite tropical storm strength as this pulls towards the north and east. So possibility of power outages, but not quite widespread. Maybe some weaker tree limbs and things like that could be falling down. Also, you know, this is part of the forecast. I want to stress the uncertainty in that extended range. And I know you don't like to hear that, but there's some dynamics taking place. This is our spaghetti models. Now, right here, this is different models, and they're all kind of agreeing on where this is going to go, off towards the Big Bend area. Pretty good confidence when you get these lines one next to each other. Look at this. This is a hot mess of the extended range because the models are just kind of having a hard time with this lack of steering flow rate in here. I completely understand it. We're expecting this to move towards the northeast, but then I'm going to stall out, and that's why it's just going all over the place here. This is all thanks to the fact that we have this blocking ridge. Now, originally, we did anticipate this storm to kind of get hooked with this trough because it was going to be moving faster along, but the fact that it moved over the Gulf, slowed down a bit, this trough that was going to hook it is getting out of here. That ridge is setting up, and that is going to block it, and really you're going to hear this over and over again. The fact that it's just going to stall out, and that long-range forecast a bit more uncertain. High flood threat, though, since this is going to be stalling out, with some of these areas seeing as much as 10 to 15 inches, especially in southeastern areas of Georgia, extending back all the way towards the Big Bend area. If you're in St. Augustine, not quite that heavy. 2, 3, maybe 4 inches here, as well as Jacksonville, about 6 to 8 inches. But yeah, there's a possibility if this even changes just a little bit, those numbers could change as well. So of course, you want to continue to check back in. Like I said, once again, try not to hype this. I want to give you the facts, let you know what you're going to be seeing. For example, I'm not anticipating hurricane conditions in Jacksonville, but the impact that heavy rain, isolated tornadoes is enough to make sure you stay weather aware. We have a weather impact alert for those main threats there. Make sure you prep for things like flooding, especially if you live in a flood-prone area that often floods, maybe in these summertime thunderstorms. You could be looking at that threat out here as well. All right, so let's talk about some of the impacts here, specifically around Jacksonville and the First Coast. First off, main issue is that flood threat. Yeah, some damaging winds over towards Lake City. Hail's on the low side, but make sure you continue to check back in for that threat of tornado warnings. As I just mentioned, tornado watch issued across Florida here. Looking at those potential for power outages, if you see any, they're likely going to be further towards the west, but you still could have some isolated ones even out here towards the east coast as well as those winds carry off towards the east. County by county, we're going to break this down for you. Worst weather for Jacksonville, Monday morning through the evening. That tornado threat, though, is going to start here Sunday night with those initial rain bands carry through Monday. What about 5 to 8 inches of rainfall heading into Tuesday? Now, those rain totals will be much higher back towards the west. Baker, Union, Bradford, Columbia County. Tropical storm strength winds 40, 60 miles per hour. The worst of the weather will be Monday morning heading through the afternoon as that initial wave with that inner core of the storm, which potentially could be an eye wall, passes on by. With that, possible tornadoes. That's where you're going to have the highest chance of power outages. For Ware, Charlton, Brantley County, and over towards Pierce County and southeastern areas of Georgia, all about the rainfall here. As this stalls out 8, I know this number seems absurd, and trust me, I get it. 15 inches before all is said and done. That is more than a foot of rainfall. If anybody's been through snow, you can kind of get a visual of how much that is. That's a lot of rain. So flooding in a lot of these rivers, poor drainage areas, very high possibility. Winds as well as that tornado threat could continue to linger with these rain bands pushing on through. Now, if you're in Clay and Putnam, not quite as much rain, but I still want to watch out for those rain bands as they wrap around, especially with that tornado threat. Storm surge threat for our coastal counties from Nassau extending all the way up here towards Camden and Glenn County as well. Want to watch out for those waters pushing on shore. 5 to 10 inches, but I think it might up that number just a bit. We're going to see how that track goes with that tornado threat. This theme continues to take place. If we're talking about that coastal flood threat, I think the high tide here on Monday, Brunswick, Jekyll Island, St. Mary's, all this takes place just around 10:30 to about 11 o'clock. Jacksonville right around midnight. Now, I don't expect a storm surge threat in Jacksonville, but if we do see that water kind of get backed up the river, we could see, though, definitely a high tide there around midnight Monday night. That's the highest tide of the day. That's why I'm kind of showing you those numbers there. As well, St. John's and Flagler County, a lot of people are asking around St. Augustine. You're not going to be seeing direct impacts from this, but indirectly with those rain bands, and still going to be looking at some scattered showers. A lot to talk about with this. Definitely a variety of impacts, especially since it's not just going to be one and done. It's going to be lingering, and that means the forecast could be changing over the upcoming days. So once again, I'm trying my best, as well as the whole team here at First Coast News, to give you not only the information, but not to hype this up, let you know what your impacts are going to be so we can keep you informed. So you can continue to check in at firstcoastnews.com for more information. I'm meteorologist Robert Spetta.